guys, so I was very kindly sent this box, which I don't think you can see. Let me see, you can get a little glimpse of it here. In this box is all of the books that have been shortlisted for the Books in My Bag Readers Award 2017. Books in My Bag very kindly sent me all of the different shortlists, and it just felt like blasphemy not to do some sort of video talking about them since they were all here in my home in this massive box. So the Books in My Bag Readers Award is sponsored by National Book Tokens. If you live in the UK, you're probably aware of both of these organisations. Books in My Bag host, you know, National Bookshop Day. You've probably seen those orange tote bags. In fact, I have a t-shirt in my box with the logo. That's what it looks like. I'm a big fan of what they do. They're pretty fantastic, and they started up the Readers Award. It consists of multiple shortlists, 6 of which I have here. So there's different categories. I have the non-fiction shortlist, the young adult shortlist, the breakthrough authors shortlist, the general novel award shortlist, the popular fiction shortlist, and the middle grade or 7 to 12-year-old shortlist. And most importantly, all of the shortlists are made up by booksellers, and then the winners are chosen by popular vote. So they are chosen by like us, which is really, really nice. So I would encourage you to go and vote on your favourite book if it is in any of these shortlists. But like I said, I've got a box with all of these books in here, and I just want to talk about them. I'm not going to talk about all of them. If you want to see what the shortlists are, you can go to their website. I'm going to talk about the ones I'm either really excited for or have already read, so have thoughts on. And I also thought, because there are some books in here that I already own or have read, it might be nice for me to do some giveaways with some of the books that I therefore have doubles of. And I'm going to be doing a couple of giveaways on my Twitter and Instagram, so follow me on there if you want to enter those giveaways. It's just much easier for me to do it on those social media platforms than it is to turn this video into a giveaway. I just want this video to be like a normal video where we can engage in the comments, and the giveaways will only be open to people in the UK just because I'm doing this out of my own pocket, and that's all I can afford. Apologies. But without further ado, let's look at the books. So of all the shortlists, I think I'm probably most excited about the non-fiction shortlist. So I'm going to go through all of those ones and talk to you about them, because I'm really excited about all of these, and I love me some non-fiction. The first one I just think is such a nice book to see in this category, because it's not one you would necessarily expect, and it's Travels with My Sketchbook by Chris Riddell, who is a pretty famous children's illustrator, and you've probably seen some of his stuff around here. And this is, like the title implies, loads of sketches, just his everyday doodles and sketches. So if you're interested in illustration, then it's a really cute one to check out. I have already been flipping through this one. I can only interpret Trump's face being on the backside of an elephant as a sort of political sentiment, which is quite nice. So like there's like meaningful stuff in here, and then you've got little black and white ones as well scattered across the page. So all of these sketches are from his time as Children's Laureate, just, you know, sketching his life during that time and the things going on and the things that he notices and was engaging with. So I think this is really, really fascinating and a lovely, lovely piece to see in this shortlist. The next one that I'm really excited to have a copy of is Why I'm No Longer Talking to White People About Race. This is by Renee Edo Lodge, and as I think the title suggests, this book is about racism. This originally stemmed from an essay the author wrote about her frustrations of constantly having to explain racism and you know, racial issues to white people, and just the inability some people seem to have to understand. And it's deals with topics like whitewashing and the kind of eradicating of different races from history, and all of those topics. Obviously I haven't read this one yet, but I have heard amazing things. It sounds really powerful and probably something we should all be reading. I then have The Adversary, A True Story of Monstrous Deception by Emmanuel Carrère. This is sort of true crime. I hadn't heard of this before, but it sounds really interesting, and I'm really pleased that it's been brought to my attention. On Saturday morning of January 9th, 1993, while Jean-Claude Romand was killing his wife and children, I was with mine in a parent-teacher meeting. With these chilling first words, acclaimed master of psychological suspense, Emmanuel Carrère begins his exploration of the double life of a respectable doctor, 18 years of lies, 5 murders, and the extremes to which ordinary people can go. So yeah, like I said, it sounds really interesting. Talking about doctors, hopefully a little bit differently, I then have This Is Going to Hurt by Adam Kay. Adam Kay is now a comedian, but he did do his medical degree and was a junior doctor. And it's about his time as a junior doctor, about the pressures put on junior doctors, the hours, the pay, all of that stuff, and just sort of a kind of gruesome behind the scenes of what it's like being a junior doctor in the UK. After the recent wave of student doctor strikes and protests, which were amazing, fully supported them in all of that. I think this will be a really interesting book to read. We then have one for book fans, which we all are, and that is Scribbles in the Margin, 50 Eternal Delights of Books by Daniel Gray. And these are all essays about books and bookshops and reading and all of the stuff related to books. And one of the things I quite liked about when I was reading about this book is that it's not supposedly caught up in all of that nostalgia of a better time where literature was maybe treated better or we consumed literature in a better way. It's about celebrating reading now and how it's still a wonderful thing and all of the wonders of reading and books now. And I think that's really nice, because I get a little bit frustrated with our constant obsession with the golden age, which is such a timeless obsession that people have always had. They did this in antiquity. There was always a time before that was better. We then have East West Street by Philip Sands. This one's already actually won the Baillie Gifford Prize for non-fiction, and this one's about genocide and crimes against humanity and those large-scale destructive acts. East West Street is an unforgettable blend of memoir and historical detective story, and a powerful meditation on the way memory, crime and guilt leave scars across generations. So it's quite a personal account of the way in which genocide and these sort of mass war crimes have affected his family in the past, and then looking at those things on a grander scale. So sounds really, really fascinating. Talking about already award-winning books, one of the books that's up for popular fiction is The Power by Naomi Alderman. This already won the Baillie Prize for women's fiction this year, and I've already read it. Although I would not have picked it to win, which is, I feel like, a horrible thing to say, but we all have our preferences. I wanted Stay With Me by Ayobami Adebayo to win, but this book obviously spoke to a lot of people. I do think it was an incredibly interesting and innovative concept and really intriguing book. Just wasn't my favourite to win. But that's not its fault. This one's sort of dystopian. It starts around now and then goes into the future, and it's in a world where the tables are turned and women suddenly have this electrical power within their body that means that they are physically more powerful than men. And it's sort of exploring what power does to people and the power balance, and through subverting everything and flipping all on its head, it draws attention to some of the things that actually happen already today, which are despicable, yet we just accept almost as normal, but we're shocked when we see it in this flipped context. And that was really, really interesting. And I always think it's so interesting to see what books get put up for multiple prizes, whereas obviously there's so many literary prizes and some of them have such different books on there, and it's so interesting to see what comes up in different shortlists and also only comes up once in one shortlist. It just goes to show the vast array and variety of amazing literature that comes out in a year. But yeah, I also love the paperback cover of this. On the topic of books that are already up for awards, this book, Elmet by Fiona Mosley, is, as you might know, shortlisted at the moment for the Man Booker Prize, and I have had my eye on this one ever since I saw it got longlisted for the Man Booker Prize and it became on my radar. It is up for the Books Are My Bag Readers Award Breakthrough Author Award. So this is a debut novel from this author and it just sounds fascinating. I will just have to read the inside to you because I haven't read it, and it's the inside that had me drawn in. Daniel is heading north. He is looking for someone. The simplicity of his early life with Daddy and Kathy has turned sour and fearful. They lived apart in the house that Daddy built for them with his bare hands. They foraged and hunted. When they were younger, Daniel and Kathy had gone to school, but they were not like the other children then, and they were even less like them now. Sometimes Daddy disappeared and would return with a rage in his eyes. But when he was at home, he was at peace. He told them that the little copse in Elmet was theirs alone. But that wasn't true. Local men, greedy and watchful, began to circle like vultures. All the while the terrible violence in Daddy grew. Sorry about the lighting, but that sounds really, really intriguing, and like there's a lot going on there, and it's going to be very literary and dark and moving, and I don't know, it just sounds really, really interesting, and I've heard really great things about it. But another book that actually is in the breakthrough category is an author who I actually love's first novel. So this is Kate Tempest's novel, The Bricks That Built the Houses. Kate Tempest is a poet, a rapper. She also has plays already in publication, and as you know, I adore her poetry. I am such a fan of her music and poetry, and I have yet to read this novel, but I am so excited to. This follows 4 different Londoners, young people originally from London, all fleeing very different things in their life. And all coming to the same place to escape those things. That's what happens when you talk about books you haven't read. 3 young Londoners. Also a book set in London, which I love, and an author I adore. Now there's actually quite a few on the novel shortlist that have really caught my eye as well. One of them being Conversations with Friends by Sally Rooney, and quite a few people have recommended this to me, and from what I gather, it's basically just a long conversation between friends on multiple subjects. So just in the way that you might sit with a group of your friends for a few hours and you might talk from everything to relationships, to politics, to something funny that happened last year, to plans for the future, to books you've read recently, everything you could possibly be talking about. And that's basically what this is. It's exploring lots of different topics by structuring it like a conversation with friends. And I think that is such an interesting concept. So I am just really interested by this one. And like I said, quite a few people have recommended it to me. I also am so excited for this next book, and I think I'm going to pick it up next as it's so short, and that is The End We Start From by Megan Hunter. This is a dystopian novella. It's quite short, so I think I'd say it was a novella, and it's also structured with really interesting prose, almost. I've heard it's quite lyrical, and as you can see it's quite broken up into these little paragraphs and sentences, so I think it's going to be a really interesting reading experience. But this is one of those dystopian novels that plays on environmental crises, and the world is now flooded, during which our protagonist is giving birth to her first child. So I think it explores quite a few different things in quite a tight, confined story following one character as far as I know. And again, I've heard really great things about this one. My friend Lena really loved this book, and let's just talk about the cover. Beautiful, stunning. This is the thing when novels are in multiple categories. I got a bit confused and thought this was in the novels category, but it's also in the breakthrough category. So back to the breakthrough category is one I'm really excited about, and that is We All Begin as Strangers by Harriet Cummings. Another beautiful cover. And this one's set in the 1980s, and there's a fox that breaks into people's houses and either takes things or leaves things, and is just sort of haunting this community until a girl goes missing, and obviously everybody suspects this fox. It sounds really strange. I do not know what this is actually going to be. Is it a real fox? What's actually going on? But it's such an intriguing premise. Like that has sold it to me. So I'm definitely going to be reading this one. I love the sound of it. But another award winner from the novel category is The Underground Railroad by Colson Whitehead. And this one takes the concept of the Underground Railroad, which is a bit of a metaphor for a system that helped people escape slavery in America during the time of slavery, and makes it real. So it's about a real steam train that facilitated an escape to freedom, I believe that's what it's about. It sounds like a really interesting twist on historical fiction, so just sounds amazing, and like I said, it won the Pulitzer. I'm getting pins and needles, but I cannot be deterred. I want to talk now about the young adult category, because there's a few in that I'm excited about. And the first one I'm actually reading at the moment, and that is The Hate You Give by Angie Thomas. This is the one that is commenting on institutional racism and police brutality, and it's about a girl who is the only witness to her friend who is shot by a policeman, and both her and her male friend were black, and her male friend did nothing to really initiate this sort of violence from the police officer, and it's about everything that happens after that. I'm not terribly far into it, I'm about 60 pages into it. She's still processing what's happened, and also fearful of whether she should come out with the fact that she was there. Will that put her in danger? but at the same time obviously she wants to speak up for her friend that is now gone and how this was a completely unjust act. So been getting tons of praise, big bestseller, really pleased to see it shortlisted for some awards, and I'm really enjoying it so far. And in general, I'm really pleased to see a political theme with a number of these young adult books, because political young adult literature is something I'm very interested in, and it's something I want to do a video talking more about. The next one is Welcome to Nowhere by Elizabeth Laird, and this one is about refugees. It's about Omar and his family who have been driven from Syria and have nowhere to go, and it's about what you do in that circumstance. And I think it's really good to see books like this. There's a few other books for young adults and children that I'm familiar with that follow refugees, but I think it's really important because not everybody lives this dreamy middle class suburban life that we see a lot in young adult literature. So yeah, really interested by that one. And then I'm also really interested by this, which is Things a Bright Girl Can Do by Sally Nichols. And this is a historical young adult book following some teenagers who got involved in the movement for women's suffrage in the UK. I think they become suffragettes, or maybe one becomes a suffragette, one becomes a suffragist. Yeah, one becomes a suffragette, one becomes a suffragist. Those suffragists were pacifists, which also impacted the way they dealt with the outbreak of World War I and, you know, complicated relationships there. And I think this is such an interesting concept, and it could be an amazing book. Obviously it's been shortlisted, so some people think it's amazing, but I expect a lot from it, because not only do I think this is a really important piece of history to see explored in literature and in young adult literature, I also think it's a period of history and a historical movement that has a lot of nuances that need to be explored. And I would really love it if this book touched on what else was going on at the time, the fact that large swathes of the suffrage movement were very much only interested in gaining the vote for wealthy upper class women in this, and on the same terms as men, because at this period in time in the UK not all men had the vote. No women had the vote, and not all men had the vote. There was racial divisions between who had the vote, there was class divisions between who had the vote, and that obviously complicated the suffrage movement, because some women were only interested in getting the vote for the same class of women as men, whereas other people fighting for the vote were interested in, you know, universal emancipation. And I think I would love it if this book touched on that. But my camera battery is now flashing, so I'm taking that as a cue to end this video here. I've talked about lots of books I'm really excited for, and there are far more in this box that I'm definitely interested in, and you might be as well. So obviously check out the shortlist if you don't know what they are already, and maybe place your vote if you're interested in doing that. Again, like I said, make sure you're keeping an eye on my Twitter and Instagram for the giveaways, which I'll hopefully do within the first day or two of me uploading this video. I'd love to know which shortlist you are the most excited about, which category holds the most books that you would like to read, and which books would you like to win their categories. I really need to go and tidy this all up now because I'm surrounded by books, which isn't a terribly bad thing, but there's probably better places for them to be than on the floor. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Until next time guys, happy reading, and I'll see you all again soon. Bye!